Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I will be doing a video about my favorite reads this year, which is 2019. Keep in mind this is excluding anything I'm gonna get for the holidays that are coming up. I'm actually filming this in December. It is December 22nd. So this is excluding all of that. So who knows, I could read a lot more books before January 1st technically, but as of this moment, these were my favorite reads of 2019. So they're in no particular order. This is a super casual video. I don't actually have all the books with me because I'm in this weird transition period with my life where my parents are downsizing, so they're moving to a different house, and all of my books are separated between a bunch of boxes in our basement and at my residence hall at college. And so I only have a couple of them with me right now, but I have about 6 titles that I just wanted to share with you guys to talk about that I consider to be my favorite reads of 2019. So for each book, I'm going to give a general overview of the plot, some thoughts I had about it, a rating, and a song that I thought characterized the book or I ever thought about it while reading. So the first book I'll be talking about today is A House Without Windows by Nadia Hashimi. It's about a woman named Ziba whose husband is found murdered with a hatchet in his head, and Ziba is so overwhelmed and with shock she is unable to explain herself and what happened, and she's arrested and charged with murder. Her lawyer is a young man who was raised in the US, but he longs to fight for human rights in his homeland of Afghanistan. The book leads readers to question if Ziba truly committed the crime, or is her arrest based on social norms? What is true? I gave this book 5 stars. I thought it was an amazing story about identity and truth, and it has a lot about women helping other women, shared trauma, shared traumatic experiences. How do we overcome the trauma of our past? I thought it was a really, really beautiful story. So the song I gave it was Warrior by Demi Lovato. The second book I'm going to talk about today is Eleanor and Park. If you're interested, I did a video review of this book. I can put a link in the description to it. So please go over there and watch that video if you're interested. So Eleanor and Park is about 2 misfits in the 1980s in Nebraska and their relationship. And they find kindred spirits in one another. And by the end of the book, they've both grown and changed in their own ways. I also gave this book 5 stars. I thought it had a really cool use of the point of view shifts that the author Rowell uses. I love that she also integrated parts of 1980s popular culture, and also something that I talk about a bit more extensively in my review is that there was a non-toxic romantic relationship. So I'll put the link in the description of the review that I did of Eleanor and Park. And the song I chose for Eleanor and Park was Saved by Khalid. So the third book I'm going to talk about today is called Belonging by Nora Krug. Another alternate title I've seen it being called is Heimat, which is a German word. So this is the only nonfiction book on this list, so I'm not going to give it a song, but I will give a summary of what the book is about, my rating, and my thoughts about it. So if any of you have watched my previous video, you're probably aware I'm a history major, so I actually had to read this book for a class that focused a lot on historical memory culture, especially surrounding the Second World War. And so in this book, the author, Nora Krug, she goes on a mission to explore her German relatives' past to discover the truth of her family. She struggles with her family's troubled past and the place she comes from. So she's kind of dealing with the identity of herself, the identity of home, and the identity of her family. I gave it 4.5 stars. Full disclaimer, I read this for a history class, and I think it's a really interesting piece that deals with memory culture. How do we remember the past? How do we remember historical events? And if your family or someone you know was part of those historical events, how do you reconcile and recognize what happened? How do you reconcile that in the 21st century? So something I really liked is it integrates primary sources into this diary/journal format. And like I said, I'm not giving it a song because it's a piece of nonfiction, but I can link to the Amazon link to this book below. So if you guys are really interested in how people remember historical events and this woman's personal journey. As a woman, she's now living in America, but she was born in Germany. So it's a really interesting piece about how she reckons with history and her home. So this next book that I'm going to talk about, I own, but it's somewhere in the moving mess. So you'll have to forgive me. I will put a picture of the cover and everything you need to get the book in the description. So this book is Running with Lions by Julian Winters. I don't know if any of you have heard of it, but it's about a teenager named Sebastian, and he's going into his senior year of high school, and he is the captain of the soccer team. He's also struggling with his identity and sexuality. So this book, I don't want to say too much, because if I say too much, it'll give away most of the plot, and I don't want to do that because it's an awesome book you should read from yourself. But I described it as old friendships reignite something inside of him. And he learns and grows through interacting with these other members of his soccer team. I gave this book 5 stars. Some of my thoughts about it were, I loved the LGBTQ representation in this book. There were gay athletes, which, I mean, is not something we see a lot in books or in TV shows, even though, of course, there are gay athletes that in every group, in everywhere there are people who are LGBTQ+. So I thought it was great that we're getting this piece of representation. And there was also a non-toxic romantic relationship between teenagers, which, if any of you saw my Eleanor Park review, you know how much I love a non-toxic romantic relationship. I'm actually considering making a review video of this book, so if you are interested, please comment down below and let me know if you'd like to see me review this book in the same way I did Eleanor and Park. The song I picked was Stuck by the Aces. When I was reading it, I was also listening to that song, and some of the same themes are in the book, things like that. Also, if you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm petting my dog. This is Zoe. Say hi to the internet, Zoe. She's a Maltipoo. She's a year and 2 months old, so if you hear any weird noises during the video, it's probably Zoe being crazy as usual. So the last book I'm going to talk about today is The Tyrant's Tomb by Rick Riordan. If you guys saw one of my other videos, I mentioned how much I love the Percy Jackson series. Rick Riordan is literally one of my favorite authors. I love everything he puts out book-wise. So this book was part of the Trials of Apollo series. So if any of you don't know what that's about, the god Apollo becomes a human because he did something that made Zeus angry. Of course, god drama. But in this specific book, Apollo and Meg and the members of Camp Jupiter have to fight against an attack by 3 emperors. And I gave this book 4.5 stars. I did this because I loved that Rick Riordan is keeping up with this awesome representation. It had great LGBTQ representation, great religious diversity in this book, which is something that I think is hard to do, especially in a book series about that's centered around the Hellenistic religion. You wouldn't think there would be room to add in other religions, but Rick Riordan really finds a way to do this, and that's something that I really, really love about him and his books, and he's trying to make everyone feel represented. It's just an amazing thing that he's doing, and I really admire him for it. A fun lesson I learned from this book is if you kill your ex, they might come back and try to kill you. Of course, not condoning murder, but that's the overall lesson, I think, of the Trials of Apollo series. One of them. It's a kind of a funny lesson, but Apollo's a really funny protagonist. Also, every chapter is titled with one of Apollo's famous haikus, which are so bad they're good. And the song I gave it was Empire of Our Own by Rain. I'll link to these songs in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. As you know, this is kind of a newer YouTube channel. I'm trying to get off the ground. If you have any video ideas or any books you'd like to see me read/review, or if you have any suggestions about how to make my channel better, feel free to comment down below. Thank you so much for watching. Bye, guys.